Welcome to Branching Out by Bonsai, the podcast where marketing gets measured, myths get busted, and acronyms get explained. No filler, just the good stuff. Let's get into it. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Branching Out. This episode is a special one. We're going to talk to Lydia Fern. You might not yet know who Lydia is, but I have a feeling you're going to hear a lot about her. She is our current Director of Engineering and Analytics here at Bonsai. Lydia is also the most talented person I've ever worked with or worked for. And I've worked in this industry for over 20 years, and I've been really privileged to learn from and work alongside some of the most, talented people in technology. There's not much more I can say. We had a great chat. I kind of surprised Lydia with some of the extent of our discussions. You'll hear a little bit about her perspective on learning, on listening, on technology, on a little bit about, Bonsai's product and all the things we're working on. But yeah, I just think, she's a treasure, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this episode out with everybody. So enjoy. Thank you, Lydia. So I ambushed you to do a podcast with me during our one-on-one time.
Yes.
So thank you for letting me do that.
You're welcome.
And, I had a little Zoolander joke in here. I don't know if you like Zoolander.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Zoolander? Okay.
Yeah,
So that's good. You should definitely check that out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get back to movies and shows in a second.
Okay,
So there's this funny line from Derek Zoolander. It's introspective, but I'll turn it to you. Who are you?
I'm Lydia. Who am I? I work at Bonsai. I lead engineering at Bonsai, and yes.
So you're a wildcat.
I'm a wildcat. I went to Northwestern. I'm a mechanical engineer. Mm-hmm. I still say that even though I don't. I have a degree in mechanical engineering. I worked as a mechanical engineer for almost 5 years, so I still feel like that's still in me.
I'm not sure I've met any mechanical engineers who are ever not mechanical engineers.
I would say the thing about when you study engineering as in an undergrad, I feel like it's actually really common to not end up doing, I have lots of friends who studied engineering and they all end up doing consulting or something in data. But mechanical engineering, I would say, is the one that's most, it is most common for you to actually end up working in manufacturing or something. So
why do you think that is? Or I guess another way I'd ask this is, as someone who didn't get their undergrad in one of the engineering fields, I hear all you mechs and other stuff go on and on about what engineers better, or mechs are better, or electrical, or this or whatever. What's that all about? And what's your take on all that?
Well, when I was in undergrad, there's a specific engineering degree called industrial engineering, which is basically it's probably what I should have studied. It's more about studying technological systems. I think you study a lot of coding. It's really more about it would have served me better, but we called it, instead of IE standing for industrial engineering, we called it imaginary engineering. And so I think mechanical engineers especially, there's this emphasis on the physical, tangible product of your work, and that's what made me actually want to go into it. And so the idea that your work would be completely intangible and only exist in ones and zeros is kind of embarrassing.
Now that you work in now that you work in a lot of data, and a lot of these computer systems. Follow-up question: Are computer engineers?
What is engineering? I mean, I'm still not even sure I know what a data engineer is. So, computer engineers are engineers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I agree.
Only for
I just was very curious because I love you have a charming way of getting to an incisive point. I was just trying to coax some dirt out of you there about talking smack, but I know that you're too good for all that.
I can't talk smack about imaginary engineers because I am one now.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
And it's better. Yeah.
So I do know that, I think anyway, most of the imaginary engineers and real engineers are good at, like, you learn how to, like, not just make stuff and build stuff, but solve puzzles. I know you've talked a lot about how much you enjoy solving puzzles. I guess, what's one of your favorite unsolved puzzles?
I don't know if this is considered unsolved, but did you ever see the Netflix documentary, The Staircase?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so it's like woman falls down the stairs and dies, and it's a question of whether or not her husband like pushed her or not.
Oh,
And-
yes. Never mind. I've heard. I have not really watched it, but I have seen like part of it.
Yeah, I don't. Now I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember the ending, like what ended up happening to him. I think he did. I think he was convicted, and then I think he appealed, and then I think there was like a mistrial. So I'm not sure if he has been for sure convicted or not, and whether that's like known. But
I love it.
Yeah, I do like stuff like that.
I didn't watch The Staircase, but I do have some memory of watching the old Netflix show about Robert Durst. Did you ever watch that one?
No.
That was sort of less of a puzzle, more just super interesting psychoanalysis sort of story, and then like the puzzle, which everyone already knew the answer to, ends up being solved at the end, like publicly, and it turns into its own story. So
maybe the puzzle is like, why are people the way they are?
that is exactly, I think, the beauty of that one. Love that you love solving puzzles. You're also really great at building stuff, whether it be mechanical stuff or computer stuff. What, I guess, how do you approach when you think about building stuff from scratch? You've now been involved in a few projects here where we've gone from 0 to 1. Do you think about it at all? What's your take on it?
Yes. If I'm building something from scratch, I mean, I'm trying to think if there has been anything truly from scratch where I had like nothing to go off of. But maybe that's like my first question is always like, is there something that exists that can serve as like a jumping off point, or like I start here and I like transform it in some way, or like I use some part of it. So I think I'm usually trying not to go from scratch. I'm trying to find something that already exists that I can like build off of. And I think in building stuff here at Bonsai, I've like learned more about, I mean, you've talked to me a lot over the years about like use fake data, like based on a true story, like building almost from like the front back of like what should this thing look like to the user, and then it doesn't matter if it like doesn't actually like work yet or is powered by like real data or anything, but like getting that right and then like working backwards from there.
A better way, I would say it to, not incriminate myself with the data engineers, is I do think it's really interesting, right? Like, if something could work and is it right are like two very different things. And so, a lot of times you spin your wheels trying to get it right, or like, how could we work on getting this right? And it's like, we don't even know if it would work.
Yeah.
So like that can, it can be freeing if you're like, you don't need to even worry if this is right yet. Like, we're not expecting it to be right.
Yeah.
We don't know if we can do it. But and I appreciate it. It also feels good in my heart that you've, a few of the things I've recommended, you remember.
They've stuck in there.
So I guess, it kind of segues a little bit into like Bonsai for a second. I guess let's talk about it. You've been here, what, 3 years now?
3 years, 3 years and like 3 months.
Thinking back to like when you started with us at Bonsai, kind of as it's gone, like what was the least favorite part? Like, what did you not like? You would come from woodwork, right? Talk a little about that, and has it changed? Yeah.
I'd been at Woodward for almost 5 years, like 4.5 years, and I felt like I'd finally got to the point in my career there where, yes, I was interacting with a lot of different people, in a lot of meetings, asking questions, being asked questions, and I felt like I'd finally gotten to the point where, like, if I was asking someone for something that they were asking me for something, like, I knew exactly how to interpret what they said. I knew if like they were giving me kind of like a BS answer, or like I knew not to take certain things at face value, and other things. And I just felt like I knew what was going on. Coming to Bonsai, being in a completely different industry, in a different role, I was just like back to ground zero of like someone could be saying to me on a call like this is not possible, or I need this, and I'm like, I have no context.
It's tough to interpret what anyone's really saying sometimes when you're like new to a space.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is what I'm hearing, but it turns out that's not what we're really talking about.
And I felt like I would hear a lot of that from you, as like we'd be on a call together, and then afterwards you'd be like, yeah, people say this, but like when they say this, they actually mean this, or like they don't know what they're talking about. So when they say this, it's actually this. Yeah. And like, you probably don't want that on the air.
No, it's fine. Trust me, this makes it very watchable. And you have quite mastered this craft in a very short amount of time. But I would say, just thinking back to like, I mean, yes, pre-Bonsai days, but honestly, earlier in my kind of days serving analytically, consulting, advising, blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, like that's super hard. You talk to tons of people and you're trying to figure out what are we really talking about here? Or, you would leave like fixated on like, I think we should talk about this. And like, you realize that, oh, this team didn't want to solve this problem. They want to solve that problem, but we didn't talk about that problem and no one let me in on that. It's like exciting to learn, but it's also like frustrating to like not like, why can't I just be let into all of the information? Yeah. And over time I began to realize that it wasn't just me, right? It was like, oh my gosh, like no one has the information. And half the time it's just like understanding that like the people on the other end are just as like, they've been brought in with their half version of what they think we're doing too. And a lot of times any kind of friction or conflict of like what the next step should be is less to do with like they're not wanting to believe you and do it. It's just that they don't understand why they don't understand. You don't understand why you don't understand. And it gets and then it boils up. So
yeah.
Well, those days are not going away.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited to. We're more than excited, obviously, to have you here helping us build like the next few years at Bonsai. I think it was, my first impressions of those years were, one, you're really, yes, great at what you do on the engineering side, but, just even your example of willing to kind of jump in and be put into a position where there was no way to prepare you. Mm-hmm. We didn't do a good job of preparing you. And running with it is just so admirable. I personally think we have a bunch of people here who do a good job of that, but you are certainly a model for them. So
thanks.
I guess less about the early 3 years. Now we have, so recently we've just, I guess now going on a full year, we've launched a tool that helps facilitate and automate a lot of things we've done from an advisory perspective. Is a solution for customers. We can probably get into that on another day. There's going to be more videos online that you're also a star in where, people want to learn about Bonsai's products, they can go elsewhere for that. Mm-hmm. But what are you, how are you liking that? What are you liking about it? What are you excited about? What we might do with it?
Yeah. I love the product and I love working on the product. Yeah, we basically have this baseline of now the measurement stuff that we've done like ad hoc and in a custom way in the past is now not only kind of like standard in the front end, but also the way that we build it is a lot more automated and we can just like scale so much more. So it's been really fun to, I think in the past it was like, oh, like there's this like request, like, someone wants this answer. And so I have to like spend 30 hours building something that's gonna like be used once and never again. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, oh, I can do that. And then it can actually like go into a platform and like be used by everyone. And like, so that's super fun. And some of the mechy in me of like seeing, it's not physically tangible, but it's visually tangible of like, oh yeah, like match market testing. I remember when I like wrote the code and built like the Looker dashboard for that. That like exists like on the internet now.
I guess
Looking ahead.
follow on that. Well, let's get to that. I guess to interject real quick. So, this won't be put out there until after we have we will have a new website. I think that's actually today, but so everyone knows when we were recording this. If you followed, like, if you're one of the 4 people online that followed us on LinkedIn, new website today. But we have, we've taken on some new partners. We announced our seed round at Bonsai. I guess, do you have a reaction to that? How does that affect you? And what do you think about when you think about like all that stuff?
Yeah. The seed round is super exciting. I think in terms of like, I know that like we're gonna exist and grow over the next like 4 years. I think that was not always something I took for granted or like thought maybe I'd be able to say. So I think, just the fact that we have like the time and the resources ahead of us to be able to like keep working on the product and making it better. And I just think it's crazy how like we did so much and we built so much in basically like a year with no funding. So it's like, wow, what could we do with 3 years with funding? Like, that is really exciting.
I'll speak for myself on this, where you're talking about you love the product. I love it. Obviously, we put a lot of ourselves into it. Going to growth mode is exciting. Context I have is, and then I am so happy that you are all living through this at Bonsai in the earliest days, is I think also with this capability in our platform and some of our early adopters and customers, we've gotten to see multiple of them actually, like, we're able to watch with them as their business improves in a like very talk about material, tangible mech, like in a way that they could literally feel with their hands if they wanted to like take the money out of the bank, right? So that's exciting. And we, because of how, kind of we're thinking about putting together this product in the company, not that many of us actually have lived through other scenarios. So there is this sort of alternative universe in not just like what we do exactly at Bonsai, but just in general. And there's a lot of really interesting and really smart computer scientists and technologists who've built tools in marketing. And there's a lot you can do. And it is like kind of a shame that so much of it typically ends up like being like, well, it's this great idea and people use it, but it doesn't actually end up improving things. And I gotta believe that had a little bit of like a psychological effect on, I don't know about individual people, but like broadly speaking, people's like feelings about like tech's role in business, the stuff itself, other things. And so we have this sort of like, I'm hoping like with you leading us in this capacity, right? Like this sort of, not just talent and extreme skill in what we do, but this sort of naive optimism is like really, it's great, right? And we always want to have that. We have to like really protect what we decide to do here if we're going to like ensure that what we do continues to move a bottom line of a business, because that's the standard. That's another thing, is you have like this other, I'll speak for myself thinking about you as I think about as you're leading us on the technical side, there's like a certain standard of work that we do and how we think about what we build that just doesn't really exist. Things are usually about like, does the light turn green and is the thing on? Not like, is it working? Like we just have a totally different definition of working here that I would imagine in certain circles in engineering, it's not a different definition. It is the definition. But I think that's like really something I'm very proud of, I'm excited about, and I realize it's challenging to make stuff that actually works with a capital W. But yeah,
eventually you have to do not just based on a real story, but actually have a real story. But you can start there.
You can, the story helps get the real things going. Working with like lots of engineering teams, multiple like stakeholders, right? Like, what did you learn from doing that? Like, what do you take from that experience now? Like, what should we all learn about how to do that?
I think listening is important. I think approaching conversations with various people with like a level of humility and wanting to understand like who is this person, like what do they need, what do they want, what are their pain points, and approaching it from a level of like humility and listening. I think that gains you a lot, and I think on two regards, like one, I think you actually gain information that's useful for you to then like make decisions or like respond to them. But I think it also just helps people, it makes people like you, and it makes people feel like they want to like work with you, and like you're not just coming to like bulldoze someone. So listening, humility, that, I mean, I think that applies to everyone. Engineers are not, but
So engineers aren't different than the rest of us.
Engineers are people too, Matt.
This, I think, is breaking news.
Yeah, I think it is.
So one of those times in the earlier years when you first came to Bonsai, there was one, I think in particular, there's one event. So we had you speak at an event at one of our bigger clients. You knocked it out of the park. And after, you did a great job. I don't know who asked, but I might have asked like, wow, it was your first time doing that kind of presentation, how did you do so well? Like, what did you practice before the session? And you said something to the effect of like, oh, I was just watching you guys talk, or, you guys present. So, and you mentioned listening to us. Mm-hmm. So one, like, why did you lie to us? Two, obviously there's something in this listening, right? So what does listening mean to you? Like, could you go deeper into like, what is listening to Lydia?
I didn't lie. Maybe I was being especially, I was being a suck up. I was still very new at this company. Yes, what does listening mean in the context of then like applying it? So I don't know. I think with communication, whether I'm speaking to a group of people or even just like Slacking or emailing or whatever, I think a lot of it is like thinking about how would I want to like receive this information, like how can I receive information in a way that like would make sense to me, be easy to like digest or whatever, and like the golden rule, and then like doing that, communicating that to other people, and just having examples, both good and bad, of ways, like being communicated to in a way that was really helpful or not, and maybe being judgmental and whenever you're talking to someone or listening, like constantly being like, oh, like how would I do this differently, or how can I learn from this, or I don't know if that's...
I like that. That's important. I think the golden rule is an amazing rule. But I think you're talking...
Speak to others.
But you talk about this...
Spoken
I mean, judgmental is like, we put this like bad connotation on it. But like the good connotation of judgmental is that you were like actually thinking about what that person is saying, and you were like contextualizing, literally evaluating, through the lens of like maybe good and bad, but like you can't judge. Judging is different than like stereotyping, or like off the cuff. I've made my mind up about this. I'm not listening anymore, right? So I'm not saying like judgments that can be a slippery slope. But I think you're right to call it out, like to be thinking about this sort of like and putting in the context of like, how do I feel about that? Is this right? Is this wrong? What do I want to know more to like get on board with what I'm hearing? Or because that definitely is active, that's the sanitized version of that, is people talk about active listening. Okay. Take us to like the next 2 or 3 years here. Like, what do you hope we do with our product? Where are you taking us, Lydia?
In the next few years, I want to, I guess, 2 things, like continuously like automate and make things faster, like both in the sense of our ability to, like onboard someone, stand up, like, measurement for them, but also like reducing the time it takes for our clients to then be able to actually like put that into action and like, okay, can we, instead of them like seeing an answer in a dashboard, can that just automatically like adjust their bidding, their spending, their, whatever like messaging they're sending out. And then I also want us to, I think we're always walking this fine line between like, it's a platform, it's standard, and like everything has to be custom and like different for every client. And so I want us to make it easier and easier for, people who want to use this platform to like make it their own and make it feel really like personal and custom, even though it is like a standard platform.
I don't know what you would say is like your favorite like current thing. I think it's the greatest trick we're pulling with our platform. It's so custom. But like that level of it's really actually custom, I will say some of the most like, and it's, it's super early, but some of the coolest feedback I've ever gotten about what we've done so far is in different contexts, and I won't name like specific names, but there are certain things the platform does that defy belief on the customization. Like they literally do not understand, like it could not possibly be a platform.
Are you not going to even name the feature that I'm so curious to know. Maybe afterwards you can tell me.
No, it's not that secret. I would say like there is this, there's like a talking point where I might mention that like our tool works for business to consumer companies and brands across different types of verticals. I might show somebody like a commercial airline, and then I'll show them like an automotive company, and then I'll show them like, people selling water bottles or phones or like, subscriptions or tickets or like all these different things. And they'll hear me say it and we'll talk about it and it'll make sense. But then they'll see like a specific example. And it'll be something very small, like 1/1,000,000th of the actual back-end complexity of like how we've orchestrated all this. And they'll be like, oh, look at that one. Like, that's really cool. That must have taken months. And they'll be pointing out like, red devices or, returning, like off-peak flyers or something like this. Something that just doesn't like, and there's just absolutely no framework for someone to even think about. Like, you couldn't possibly build a platform that could do that. And that's the thing that I'm very excited about right now. So yeah, I think it's, well, listen, if you take us to like 2 or 3 more years of the kind of stuff you've done these past year to 2 years on the platform, I'm very excited.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's enough about Bonsai. Let me finish with a couple of things about you, but get it a different way. Okay. So I think one day you told me that you're like a very, you love sound. What was so intriguing? What should we know about sound? Why would we care about it?
I know so little about it. I went through some weird phase where I was like learning about, I had read some article or I had talked to someone who was like talking about sound. But I do have a vivid memory of in my like 10th grade physics class learning about the human ear and like how it works and just being like, what? Like, and I think the thing that's crazy is that the process of like you asking me that question and like hearing the question, it's a physical process of like sound waves hitting my eardrum at a certain way, and then like my brain can perceive that as like a word and like think about it. It's just like it's crazy. I don't know. I know very little about it.
Can you give us like what's a trivia? Can you give us like a fun fact?
About sound?
Yeah.
Well, the only fun fact I can think of is something that was a hoax.
Perfect.
So there was like that, I don't remember whether this was like 3 years ago or 10 years ago, but there was like this hoax article going around that they had a clay pot that had been made, I don't know, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And the hoax was that they were like, oh yeah, like if we take this clay pot and if we like spin it at a certain way, speed, and like hit it with certain things, you can hear the sound of the background noise of what was happening in the room when the pot was being made, because it was like you speaking makes a sound wave that like hit the pot, like the soft clay when it was being made. And so it's crazy, right? And it was not true. But that's like not that different, and I'm actually not remembering. It's not that far off of like how records work.
Tell us more.
Well, I don't know because I don't know enough, but I think records are some combination of physical, mechanical grooves that are, machined into the record, and then there's some electrical processes happening that's taking place.
You're looking at me
too.
like I have this answer to records. I don't.
The fact that you can have a physical object that when you put it on something and you send electricity into it, like Adele's voice will come out.
I mean, you are right to be amazed by that. Isn't
and I
that
don't
crazy?
know how it works. I know nothing. Maybe that's my favorite unsolved puzzle. It's been solved by other people, but it has not been solved by me, and I think it's amazing.
I also think it's amazing. It's great to, also hear you it's very clear, right? Like that is an amazing thing. People don't think about it. And so hopefully if you're listening to this, you're one of the 10 people that are hearing through this.
It works.
Yeah. We'll put that in the comments. That'll be our first, user mail thing.
How do records work?
How do records work? We, I've definitely thought about. It's not strange, but it's just sort of like the idea that you set a needle on something and then like it does that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there should be, I should be worried about this. Like there's something really powerful here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've, it's also like another example of like things we've all figured out, and in our day jobs, we basically work on this thing that like, I would say the prevailing point of view about what we work on is of course you couldn't figure that out. So gives me hope, maybe we'll make like a little bonsai record player one day.
Yeah.
When we actually figure it out.
Yep.
All right. Enough about sound. Let's talk shows. We both love Nathan Felder. Mm-hmm. Why do you love The Rehearsal so much?
Why do I love The Rehearsal so much? Well,
I should say I very much enjoy the season. So you're not alone. This is a shared. We have these very strange shared passions.
I think season 1, the thing that like really made me love it was like you get the first episode. It's already ridiculous and like a ridiculous premise, and you like have that episode and you're like, okay, great, I'm gonna get like 7 more of those. And then episode 2 starts and you're like, oh, this is something else. There's something else going on here. There's something bigger here. And that continued, like, it's already ridiculous, but you think you figured it out, and then it, like, taking a left turn. I love that. And it's just funny. He's just funny. Like, and he just walks that line of, like, reality and, like, surrealism and, like, I don't know. I don't know if I could speak intellectually about it, but
it is.
Help me out here. Why do you love it?
So I love it. I mean, I think you hit on a like key thing that people will. Not everyone agrees, like, or finds this like style funny, but like I find it enormously funny. So let me just say this: it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I like it because it's so aggressively trying to make those people who would find that funny laugh while just having no like respect for the place it should like stay.
Yeah.
And just going like to
like the comedy norms.
Absurdism is like one way to think of it. I think of it more of just this like absolute uncaged directionless ambition that I find like so fascinating, that there's like oh my God, like what in the world are we doing here? And then it gets like escalated to like another level and another level. And then you're just like, oh yeah, he's just going for it. Like until someone says stop or like you're under arrest, and then you kind of are always waiting to see like if it, but it's not like shock, like tragic comedy humor. It's different than that. So I guess that's why I like it, is I like the just naked ambition of the gall it would take to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, yeah, if I had more time to prepare my thoughts, I'd probably have something really smart to say about why I like it so much, but it's
So
great.
yeah, so I guess to close, I mean, I kind of ambushed you by recording a podcast as our one-on-one. So
That's my annual review.
I'm hoping you will meet with me one-on-one again after
Yeah.
doing this, and you won't hold that too much against me. Is there any closing thoughts you have, any questions you have for me, anything that you want to share?
We're building something. We have built something, and we're continuing to build something that I think is like one of a kind. And I think, yeah, as we continue to try to really walk that line of like standardize things that it can scale, but and work, but then also feel custom, like for everyone, and that the results that you'd see in your business are also very specific to like, your goals. I think maybe that's what sets us apart a little bit, because we're trying to do both well, and I think so far we are, and I hope we continue to.
There's a lot of people out there who would benefit a lot by getting a chance to work with you. This is their one chance. Just kidding.
Yeah.
It's no.
You want to get to me, you got to go through him.
In all honesty, I think I think what we're building is an awesome start, and super excited for what we've done. And yeah, we're all very grateful that you're here to help us continue to grow together. So thank you so much, Lydia. I
Thank you,
promise
Matt.
you are now dismissed. Thus ends the embarrassment of me putting in
Yeah.
front of the camera. But
Yeah, I'm sweating.
it's all good. You haven't noticed me. Like it's just the office. It is what it
We
is.
could keep those lights off, and I'd be
Yeah.
a little more, yeah.
Yeah, we'll turn off these stage lights. Great
Yeah.
job, Lydia.
Thanks.
Thank you.